Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is the Restaurant Technology Guys. This is Gary Stotko, along with my partner, Jeremy J.J. Julian.
Good morning, everyone.
Thanks, Jeremy. You're joining us for our NorthStar Order Entry, a deep dive demo exploring the most innovative iPad-based POS on the market. Super excited today to have a very special guest, Mr. Art Julian. He's the CEO here at Custom Business Solutions. Welcome, Art.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Wherever morning is for you.
Today's conversation is going to be 25 years of restaurant technology and where we're at now. NorthStar Order Entry, a better path forward. NorthStar Order Entry, the POS in action. We're excited to do this deep dive today. It could spur a number of questions, so feel free in the lower right-hand corner of the dialog box to put in questions at any time. Periodically, we'll answer the questions if it fits into the flow, but have definitely left some time at the end to answer as many questions as we can fit in the time frame. It's now 25 years in, Jeremy. How are most restaurant technology systems built today?
Well, you guys will see here in our next slide, but we liken the existing POS infrastructure and the way that people do business with their existing POS systems to Tinker Toys. It's loosely coupled systems that are held together by connections, but they're not real strong foundational connections because they are built and have been built over time by different entities and then tried to couple together. So we're going to talk a little bit here in a second, kind of where POS came from, and if any of you guys joined us for either our last demo on order entry as well as the how to pick a POS in 30 minutes or less, you guys would have heard me talk about the fact that the POS was built from the store up, and so it started at the store, it started at the restaurant, the retailer, whatever outlet you're talking about. There was a store-specific database. That was where everything came from. As restaurateurs became multi-units, they realized that they needed a way to report their sales, report their labor, report the different things above store so that they could see what was going on. Again, the need for POS, and again, you guys would have heard this in the other presentations, is to control your labor, control your food costs, control all of those different elements within the environment.
Right.
Well, you need to be able to report on that. So enterprise systems got created. After you got to multiple locations, you needed to be able to manage these different databases and manage these different systems. And so different entities, whether it's the POS provider or a third party, has come up with central management systems. And so you're going to see a second database where there's a second database of the management system, and that's a disconnected database from the store system. It's not cohesive. You've got to do an upload and a download and all of these different things. As POS grew, people wanted to get outside of the four walls of the restaurant. So they looked at how do I add web ordering? Well, that created another level of complexity because now I've got a web ordering database that might not look exactly like the POS store-specific database. You've got multiple entities on the web, different ways that you're selling things that might not look the same as within the restaurant, and so you've got this other database. Lastly, and some of you might have even been playing with this, or you've got some directives within your environment to put in kiosks. And all of these different things are just ancillary systems that go back to the core point of sale, but are required to do business in today's environment. And so because of that, you've got all of these different databases, all of these different ways that you're having to manage things. And so with that, just on the screen there, you've got 4 databases, and you know, as it looks, and they're all kind of tied together, but they're not built from the ground up as one entry. You've got multiple people potentially. You've got marketing helping with the website. You've got your POS department working on your in-store POS. You might have your accounting group that's working on your enterprise system and your central management system. And so all of these different things are different pieces of data that different people are entering, different people are maintaining, different people are managing, and it creates discrepancies. And with discrepancies, you're going to be challenged because you've got just these rickety things that are going to potentially create data disparities and not allow you to allow you to move the business forward as efficiently as you might need to.
Points of weakness, possibly.
Yep, for sure.
There's got to be a different way. Art, jump on in here. NorthStar takes the new path forward, and your focus to date has been on the power of the platform.
And so to kind of illustrate the differences kind of between our Tinker Toys and the way they were all coupled together, and the way we look at this platform, we're bringing the analogy of Lincoln Logs. And for those of us that are old enough to have played with Lincoln Logs, you know very much that they're interlocked and they're quite well constructed, that they kind of live from a very good foundation, and that's the key to what we feel is different about what we've done with our NorthStar Order Entry system, is that we build it from a single platform to give it the strength that it needs. So that all being said, that's kind of our look and feel of how we came about that. And so our foundation really is our NorthStar Enterprise database. And what makes our everything kind of comes right from this database and is controlled by a single enterprise content management tool that surrounds everything about configuration and items and reporting categories. And from this one common database, everything kind of grows out from there. And so that database, NECM, is a cloud-based product. So you have access to that from your desktop, you have access to it from your tablet, you have access from your smartphone. And so from that, you have accessibility. From there, built on top of our NorthStar system is really that of our POS application, which we'll dig into today. Our web ordering platform, which will be a future webinar. I'm sure the guys will go through what we're doing that's a little bit different in the web content side of web ordering. Our kiosk is a natural extension of our POS system. And then one of the few things that we have that a lot of other systems don't have is we truly have a guest-facing capability. And so all of those things are driven from a single common database, whether it be configuration, reporting information, all comes from that common place. What that does is, as Jeremy would talk about in the previous slides, where you had disconnected systems potentially managing your enterprise data, a lot of companies that built enterprise reporting tools would find and would have to build ways to manage consistent data. And so because everything's coming from a common database in our world here, all of our reporting data, whether it be that we're feeding it to our own back office reporting tool, or is it that we're feeding people like a See-To-It or a restaurant magic, we have this ability to have very, very consistent data throughout our entire enterprise.
Nice. So we're going to be digging into POS today, but NorthStar Order Entry is a fully integrated system with 6 different ordering modes. The approach from the get-go has been about mobility and the data and access from anywhere. Today's focus, obviously, as we said, is the point-of-sale system. So we'll jump back in, Art, and take us through a demo.
So the one thing I just want to make sure everyone is aware that this is not a live demo. This is actually a presentation so that we could kind of show everyone the different transaction types of this deep dive. But this is not actual. That's not my hand. It's not Gary's hand. We won't talk about Jeremy's hand. But that all being said, so we're going to go through and we're going to bring up a couple of drinks. So some Barks root beer. You get some choices of modifications to that if you need to. And then you go on from there and you're going to go and get a root beer float. I'll add a root beer float on. From there, we're going to pick a new category. So we'll pick our burger category. From there, one of the things that we have the capability of doing, again, because we're leveraging the tool of the iPad, we're leveraging some of the intelligence in the iPad, you have this ability to do what we call a long touch, that long touch brings up a full-on description of what that item is. Things like calorie count could be in there, what the different items are that can be in there. If the guest wants to see a bigger picture of it, the accelerometer in the iPad, they literally could flip that iPad over and it would give the guest a full-on screen presentation of what the executive chef built out that item, in fact, to look like. So from there, we're going to go ahead and we'll order up our ultimate cheeseburger. Now, one of the things that we did that's a little bit different, a little bit unique, is how many times have you walked into a restaurant? I happen to be a very picky eater, for any of those that might know me, and say I don't want something on a particular menu item. And so you get the little cashier person and they're looking at, trying to figure out, whether it be from the picture, from their training or otherwise, what's on this item. And so on the left-hand side of the screen, we're going to see every component that is made up of our ultimate bacon cheeseburger. And so in this case here, I want to be able to say, hey, I don't want shredded lettuce. So we use the gesturing of the iPad. It'll highlight that I want to delete that. I can touch delete. I go to send that off, and our software is smart enough that says, hey, if we have things that are required, we're not going to force you to deal with them. We can make that an option, but we're not going to force you to deal with them, because you want to be able to have a conversational flow with that person taking the order. And then if you go to send it off and you need to do something, it'll remind you. So in this case here, we need to bring up a side dish. We'll slide up to the different component categories. We'll touch side dishes, and at this point, we would reach up and touch sweet potato fries, which happens to also add 99 cents on, and we'll add that to our particular order. From there, we're going to go into payment. Right?
Add another burger real quick.
Oh, let's go do the other burger.
Slipped another burger in on Yard. You know what? You're buying for two now.
Buying Gary lunch all the time.
Nice.
So from that, our secondary burger. Now, we can do some adjustments. The last time that Gary and Jeremy would have done a demo, we kind of took you through bringing up some basic items. So we're going to do a deeper dive. I want to do some adjustments. So the adjustments at this point allow me to highlight a couple of different items, touch an adjustment reason, which it now gives me those two items are highlighted in the bottom right. It shows me that they've been adjusted. I reach over and I want to do the root beer float. I'm going to come up there and I'm going to make an adjustment to it also. It had a quality issue, and so I'm going to touch the quality issue, and now I wind up with 3 items, multiple discounts on a single check, the number of discounts, comps, voids, all of that stuff, wildly unlimited as to what you have access to. And at that point, we would pay off our check and be done. So with that, on to some additional transactions. So we're going to do a splitting of a check. So we've got back to those same 4 items that everyone's become intimately familiar with. We want to add on an additional check. So I would add on my additional check, say 1 touch go. And so now it's got an empty check for me. And I have this ability then to just drag items from one side of the screen to, or from one check to the other. And at that point, I would touch payment, and it was going to allow me, or touch the little icon for payment, takes me into that check, and I can do payment. So at this point, I could take any one of these checks, right? We've got multiple checks, and now I want to be able to pay one of these checks with 3 different payments. And so the first one I would pay with cash, and they give me $10, and from there I apply that payment. Then I get down to the next one, and I decide I want to do credit card, and so I can pay the second one with credit card, and it'll allow me to put the tip on. And then the third one gives me the capability, and we have an unlimited number of alternate type payments, and I have Maria's money that I'm going to pay the balance of this check that's been split into 3 different pieces. And if you look at the screen right there, I've got cash, credit card with a tip, and Maria's money all on a single check. So whether I'm splitting the check into multiples, or I am going through and doing multiple tenders on a single check, all of those capabilities are within the system.
So real quick, because I know that we went deeper on this one than we did in a previous presentation, just to recap the functionality that you've built into Order Entry POS that differentiates this product from other iPad or iOS-driven solutions.
Well, part of what we've tried to do, first off, we're bringing in, the way I feel on any given day, about 100 years of experience that we've brought into bringing the system out. We work with a number of the major players in the industry as far as point-of-sale systems. We've competed against them, and so what we've tried to do is keep bringing back something that is both leveraging the technology of the iOS and making it simpler. Our initial challenge when we bought the system was without a manual, without any instructions, could we teach someone to use a point-of-sale system in a minute or less? And that being said, some of the workflows and operational pieces that we've brought, both the point-of-sale and some of the guest-facing things, we've proven out that it can work just that well. We had a customer down in Texas that said what they loved about the point-of-sale system was really that of their servers could come in a little inebriated from the night before and still use the system. It was that simple. So kind of a testament into itself. Good. Really from the staff. So
yeah, let's jump into the data now. You know, we are cognizant of the time. We've always done or tried really hard to keep you guys within a tight time frame, a 30-minute presentation with 15 minutes after for Q&A. So we'll stay. We're cognizant of your valuable time. Go ahead, Art.
So from there's multiple elements of our NorthStar reporting side of it, and so these are in-store reports, and so we have a whole library of reports. At a later date, we'll talk about what we do above store, but we have a full-on DSR that's available, and you can just swipe and gesture on the iPad and kind of move, manage your way through the data points. When you go into something like payments, we bring up the payments. So here's my credit card listing with tip amounts and dollar amounts. If I go over to cash, I would get a full cash listing. One of the things I'm not going to show to you here, we'll show it to you on another one, but throughout the entire system, we use and leverage the iOS technology of being able to search for things. So if I needed to pull up a particular transaction or whatever, I can just search for it. Going through item sales, and so what happens with item sales, we have this ability to sort things, and so you'll look at category information and or within the category the item information, we'll have that ability to sort either by total, by count, or by name. And so just very, very easily, it gives the operators this ability to say, how do I want to look at my data? And it's the same way they're used to doing things because, there's 6 billion iPhones and or Android devices out there for people have been taught on.
300 million, approximately 300 million plus current users of iOS technology, iPhone, iPad, iPod, and.
So, and then from there, we also have integrated labor, so you can punch in and punch out through the system. And so we have payroll reports, time reports, and from there you have that ability to run those different reports for different time segments as far as all of that goes. Okay? So kind of what we do right from the front of the house and printable on your standard Epson 40-column paper.
Okay. Let's go to enterprise content management.
So early on we talked about the value of having a centralized content management, so you wind up with consistency throughout your enterprise. And even at that, we do everything tied back to these computer-generated unique IDs so that we never have a duplication. So when we log into ECM, we have that ability first to go from one screen, either back office or into the content management tool itself. From that, we can pick a location. From there, I can go and look at an item, and all of the attributes, pricing, and all of those things, all the way down to, this happens to be a pizza that we picked, but that picture we saw earlier when it came up on the screen of the hamburger, all of that content, even in a standard POS world, we're now trying to deliver content almost like a mini digital signage at the point of sale system. And then from there, you can change UI settings and all of that, decide to go back and publish all of that out to any given store.
Sorry about that. That's a lot of content for us to squeeze in. Thank you, Art. That was, whew, my God, Jeremy.
Yeah, that was a lot to go through, and the sad part is Art only hit the tip of the iceberg with what we can do. There's, we could have gone even longer, but as Gary mentioned earlier, we're trying to be conscious of your guys' time, and we appreciate you guys showing up and listening to what we have to say at the same time. And we can talk more about next steps, but if you want to see more about what we're doing, you set up an appointment with us, give us a call. We'll go through it in more depth because there's so much more that we've done as we've been working with customers. So. Absolutely.
So to revisit or recap our presentation today, we know where the industry's at currently. There's some opportunities for us here, Jeremy, dealing with where things are at now and how it was built and why it was built.
Yeah, I think anybody that's been in the industry for more than 6 months or has had any relation to multiple units knows the problem that we're trying to solve, which is getting the data into the same place at the same time, making it actionable, making it consistent. So, like I said, anybody that's been around for any length of time understands and should understand the power of the capability to have this enterprise database platform to be able to manage your data and be able to distribute it out to the field, get consistent information back into your corporate office for content, for business reporting, for analysis, all of those different things.
Solid structure. So 70% of end users plan to add mobile POS within the next year. That came from VSR Magazine just here in this past July 2013. NorthStar Order Entry, well suited for the future in our mind. The structure, the intent behind the structure, the capabilities from the front of the house, the capabilities from the back of the house, reporting, enterprise content management. We touched on everything. The reality is that under these circumstances, as we get ready to open it up for questions, the reality is that there is a ton built into this software that for you to get the best view of it would be reach out and take a deeper dive that is specific to your portion or your segment of the hospitality industry. So at this point, we'll open it up to questions. You can type your questions down into the right-hand corner into the control panel. And do you have integrated credit card available? Yes, I do.
So yeah, the question's related to credit cards and integrating those methods of payment. Yes, we do have integrated card swipes into the POS, into the iPads. You guys will, if you guys were to do an on-site demo, you guys would see it. We're partnering with a company that has them integrated into the side of the iPads, supporting both the 30-pin and the newer connectors for the iPads.
So one of the things that to speak about integrated credit card, because it's something that we've done that's really quite unique. For anyone who's been in the current point-of-sale world knows that PCI has been painful to say the least. And so we're actually have come out with credit card processing where we are doing end-to-end encryption. Okay, so as we've gone for PCI certification, we've done such a good job that we're out of scope for PCI, that we have no credit card information within our system and therefore out of scope. When PCI Security Council finally delivers some end-to-end standards for someone other than an end user themselves, we'll go and we'll apply for those standards. But we've gone as far as to even have to bring in other devices for manual entry to make sure we stay out of scope on credit card. So
good. The next question, does this work alongside current terminals or as a replacement?
So really it's we designed it from the ground up to be a standalone point-of-sale system that is a replacement system for current POS needs. We have had a number of customers of late come to us and ask us to integrate it to current point-of-sale systems, only for the fact that they have no problem in moving over to it, but it gives them a nice current migration path on coming over from their current point-of-sale system. So surprise, surprise, we've done a lot of work with PosiTouch. PosiTouch will be the first one that we do, and we've got a number of the large players that'll get queued up, and as customer demand drives it, we will go there.
Can you handle a full-service restaurant with a bar?
I'd say, so I'll start there and just say we have done some full-service restaurants, actually, ironically, on the guest side of the house initially with the bar. There are certain capabilities, and I would pose over to Art, but there are capabilities that you could do. Anything that a traditional point of sale would do, a lot of the feature set would work just fine. If there's specific things within your bar that you need, we would have to kind of deal with those feature by feature, function by function. But to ring up a sale, to take payment, to do cash outs, to collect all of those things, collect credit cards, yes, we could. Does it do certain specific things that a point of sale system that's been around for 25 years might do today? Maybe, maybe not. Like Art said earlier, we've got hundreds of years of experience working within the industry, within our building, and so they typically take those things into account when they're going through and talking features and functions.
Let's talk about that real quick, because I think this is really important as far as development is concerned, and the agile methodology and how you guys approach. You're building a brand new software, and so you work in sprints. Take me through that real quick, of the development of stories, the execution based on sprints, so on and so forth.
So we use the Scrum methodologies for software development. We have a backlog that has hundreds of items in it, and a lot of those items are really just core to things that we want to do. Hundreds sounds like a big number, but when you look at feature functions that people look at, sometimes those numbers range into the thousands. And so we've got a core set of features that we're working towards developing and enhancing. And one of the things that we always constantly look at every time we go to bring a feature on, is that feature going to be something that everyone is going to benefit from? Will it be supportable times 10,000 installations? And could we possibly improve upon the way it's currently being done? And so with every time we bring something on, we try to figure out, is there a better way, is there a better way, is there a better way? And there's times like our PCI, out-of-scope PCI credit card processing, to us that's a better way of doing it. It has other limitations, and we kind of fight through those limitations to hopefully get customers to adopt what we consider to be a better way.
Right in line with that, is chip and pin or debit card capabilities?
So right now, chip and pin is not something that the United States is supporting. It'll come in 2014, I believe it is. 14 or 15. And so what we're waiting for currently are the devices that we can tie to. Quite honestly, working with Ingenico right now with a Bluetooth-enabled pin and chip device so that we can have that straight away, and we can handle logo debit cards as far as debit card processing. We're not doing debit cards with PIN currently.
And then can we go to the table and do we use an OtterBox, or how's that handled?
So we have customers that opened up and they actually used the sign right on the screen as the way people were doing payments. So they literally would bring the iPad right to the table if the guests slide their credit card and set up a sign right on the screen and then email themselves a receipt. Some other customers have looked at using an iPad mini. We support an iPad mini as a better, more portable device, and we're actually currently working on an iPod UI for staff members. So whether you want to protect it with an OtterBox or one of the other 100 million different cases that are out there, pick your poison.
Okay. And since it's cloud-based, is it solely relied on internet to operate?
given the fact that we've been in the business, we've seen what has happened in the point of sale world, we still are not a believer that telephony, even with 4G capabilities, is reliable enough to support the system. We have a store controller that we typically would put in. It's literally about the size of a firewall that gives us in-store redundancy, and then we have some redundancy schemas, whether it be back to the cloud or a second in-store controller to give us levels of redundancy. So not a firm believer that says, hey, 3G in your iPad is going to give you the point-of-sale reliability that people look for, because they count it literally in the higher nines.
And do we work with Windows devices or existing Windows terminals?
So Windows devices, all of our standard printing currently is IP-based, and so big fans of Epson just because they kind of set the mark for the industry, and so a lot of customers have been able to convert their serial or parallel-based printers that they've been using on their Windows-based terminals for over to IP, so that we can use or reuse that product. As far as Windows terminals themselves, it is truly a Windows, it's an iOS native app, and so it will not run on a Windows device. We do have it in our backlog, and I don't want to predict when we'll do it, but at some point a Windows terminal, I'm sure, will come out of demand from our customers.
And hang on real quick. On that point, one of the things that we failed to mention during the presentation, but I do want to make sure that we bring it up, is Art talked about the gestures that are available in iOS and the install base of 300 million, Gary mentioned it earlier, 300 million iOS devices. That all being said, everything was designed with that in mind, but it also was designed that it would support a single touch, and so that single touch capability would allow you to either do the gestures or you don't have to do the gestures. And so it's built in a way that I could swipe that lettuce off the burger, or I could touch the lettuce and then touch the delete button and get rid of it in a traditional methodology. And so we designed it with the end in mind that says we don't have to use projected capacitive touch screens with our environment that allow gesturing. We can use some of the older single point and touch functionality of an existing Windows environment. So when the stories get pushed up to the top of the backlog and they are working in that environment, they will have the capability to migrate that over.
The next question, this is a great opportunity for us to talk about the model, the SaaS model. Is do you have local service in Tennessee, Art, with where software is at today and where you guys are taking the product? Speak to software as a service.
So with everything being cloud-based, your ECM, your data service, repository for advanced orders, all of those things are all cloud-based. I mean, that's all controlled by our internal IT department on a ISO 9001 certified company. And so from that standpoint of software in the cloud, is there. When it comes down to where are we as far as being able to deliver and install, because it's all cloud-based, we've done large portions of our training just using online meetings like this. And when it comes to local support, a great example of one of our customers would talk about the fact that they needed or wanted another iPad in their system. They literally could go down to the Apple Store or Best Buy, whichever, pick up an iPad, and literally within 15 minutes, they had another point-of-sale system up and running, where by their own admission, it was going to take weeks if they were to work in a traditional point-of-sale model, find their salesperson, order a terminal, have it shipped in, have it configured. Literally 15 minutes, they were up and running on a new point-of-sale device. And then we leverage our manufacturers like Apple and/or our little in-store servers, Lenovo, to be able to get third-party on site if we need it, and/or central repair of a depot to swap out printers that we do out of our offices now.
Right. Thank you. We're bumping right up against our time limit here. Truly appreciate you guys joining us again this morning. What a privilege to have you guys with us. Jeremy and I are working really hard to advance the restaurant technology, guys, and create a platform where you guys can engage us in multiple ways. We have a meeting later today to launch our blog, as I'd mentioned in our last webinar, so you can look at that being live by the end of the week. And then we'll start getting more and more social to create opportunities, because we want feedback from you. Our goal from the get-go was to share intelligent information with a bunch of smart people like you on the line, and engage you going forward. So thank you.
Yeah, and look out at our website. You know, we've got all of the upcoming webinars posted there. You can register for them even before you get the emails. Put them on your calendar. We've got some coming up on our recipe viewer product. We've got some additional ones coming up on mobile POS and what things you should look out for when it comes to mobile POS. So take a look at those things. We really appreciate you guys making it out here, and we'd love to hear back from you guys as to whether it was valuable for you, whether we missed some things. Send us emails, give us a phone call, check us out on our website. Lots of different ways to get a hold of us, but please engage us, or if there's topics that you guys want to hear about, please let us know those things too, because we are coming up with the topics on our own, but if there's things that you want us to talk about, please bring those to the table, and we'll create some content. We'll do the research for you and bring you valuable information that'll help you mature your knowledge of technology in the restaurant space.
Excellent. Thanks, Jeremy. And thanks to our special guest star today, Art Julian. I appreciate you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Bye
now.
Have a great day.